Hey everyone, my name is Kaylee Chenango, and my presentation today is on Yetta Goodman. Yetta Goodman was born March 10th, 1931, which makes her 85 years old. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio. She is a professor at the University of Arizona College of Education's Division of Language. She consults with education departments and speaks at conferences throughout the United States and in many nations of the world regarding issues of language, teaching, and learning with implications for language arts curricula. In addition to her research in early literacy, miscue analysis, and in exploring reading and writing processes, she has popularized the term kid watching, which encourages teachers to be professional observers of the language and learning development. She is a major spokesperson for whole language, and in her extensive writing shows concern for educational issues and research with a focus on classrooms, students, and teachers. She is married to Ken Goodman, who is also a professor at the University of Arizona and believes and researches many of the same ideas as Yetta. Goodman's research and principles focuses on three main ideas: whole language learning, miscue analysis, and kid watching. We will be learning about all three of these ideas throughout this presentation. First, we will be learning about whole language. Whole language approach is a method of teaching children to read at an early age that allows students to select their own reading matter and then emphasizes the use and recognition of words in everyday contexts. Children learn to read by recognizing whole words as a whole piece of language. Yetta Goodman believed that words should not be broken down into letters and combinations of letters and decoded. Instead, she believed that language is a complete system of making meaning with words functioning in relation to each other in context. Ken and Yetta Goodman wrote and edited a book on whole language teaching. In this book, they answer the following questions about the whole language approach. The following questions are as follows. How do whole language teachers evaluate their students? How can evaluation fit the principles and requirements of whole language? How can evaluation help whole language teachers learn more about their students? And finally, how can evaluation be made an integral part of the whole language program? Next, we are talking about miscue analysis. Miscue analysis is an assessment that helps the teacher identify the cueing system used by a reader, the strategies a reader uses to make the sense of the text. Instead of focusing on errors, miscue analysis focuses on what the student is doing right, so that he or she can learn to build on existing reading strategies. A miscue says something other than the exact printed text. Some might label such miscallings as errors. However, the term error implies something negative. The fact that an unexpected response can be heard by a listener tells us that listeners are also transacting with the text. Miscue analysis values the choices made by readers and views miscues as a window into the mind of the reader, which was said by Yetta Goodman. Students eligible for this procedure are independent readers. Miscue analysis requires a good deal of time on the part of the teacher. Because of this time investment, a teacher may not select all of his or her students to use a miscue analysis. Generally, this procedure can best be reserved for struggling readers. As there is a diagnostic quality to this assessment, miscue analysis is best employed when a teacher is unsure of exactly why a certain student struggles with reading. All right, there is a difference between miscue analysis and running records. The difference between running record and miscue analysis. Running records are a useful tool for determining text level, observing cueing systems in use, and identifying individual teaching points for students. Running records determine text level by the number of errors made during reading. Miscue analysis, on the other hand, is less concerned with the number of miscues than with the type of miscues. Good readers don't necessarily transact with the text in a word-by-word manner. Many good readers skip words, substitute words, miscall words, and still gain a high level of meaning from a text. Miscue analysis honors the reasons behind miscues and the information documented used to further the reading success of the given student. I'm going to show you an example of a miscue analysis, and This person gives us ways of how to go about giving a student a miscue analysis, as well as ways to evaluate a miscue analysis.
Okay, this is a video on authentic assessment. This one is on miscue analysis, which is a method for analyzing how students are approaching the reading process. It's a form of direct assessment because you are directly assessing the reading process. It's done one-on-one. It's built on the idea that errors, or miscues as we call them, can inform us. They tell us how the reader is processing the print. These types of miscues inform our teaching, or can inform our teaching. Now, this is the process. This is designed to give you a sense, an overview, so you have an idea of it. You can find lots of YouTube videos on this as well. But the student reads a piece of graded reading orally, out loud, to a teacher. So this is done one-on-one. I recommend that you audio tape these so that you can play them back and analyze them. Once you get really good, you might be able to analyze in time as the student is reading. Like running records, the teacher has a copy of the graded reader and records the types of errors and miscues, and I'll show you a cue for that in just a minute. Now, there are two levels of miscues. There's a major miscue that changes the meaning significantly, or a minor miscue, errors or miscues that do not change the meaning of the sentence. For example, the dog ran down the road. If the student would say the dog trotted down the road, that would not change meaning, so that would be a minor miscue. And that's actually a good thing, because that tells us that the reader is not simply decoding and letter by letter processing, but rather that the reader is using context and semantics to figure out what makes sense. The dog ran down the road. If the reader said the dog floated down the road, or the dog slept down the road, that would change the meaning significantly. Now, this is to be adopted and adapted like all things in education. Very few things should be prescribed. Do it this way exactly for all times and in all places and with all students, because there's no such thing as a standardized student process, classroom, etc., etc., etc. Instead, you should adopt and adapt. Now, here is a type of scoring system that you might use. Again, student has a copy, you have the same copy as the student is reading. You circle words that are skipped or omitted. Use a caret to insert if a student inserts an extra word. Downward slant through the word if they substituted a word or mispronounced the word. Write the word the child said on top. All right? If the teacher needed to aid the student, put an X on it. This little stare thing if words were reversed, repetition, and self-correct. The student self-corrects on miscues, put SC. By the way, this is a good thing if a student is self-correcting. So I personally do not deduct for self-corrects. And scoring, it is so important that you have numbers for everything a student does. I'm being sarcastic here, but if you want to have some gosh darn numbers, and some people do not think anything exists educationally unless a number is assigned to it. 1 point for miscue changes meaning, major miscue. Half a point if miscue does not change the meaning, minor miscue. No deductions for self-correction. There you get another example of how you score that thing. Type of miscues, word substitutions, non-word, insertions, etc., omissions, reversals. That's more a written form of what I just showed you. You can stop and study this at your leisure. And a scoring analysis. Same thing as running records. You get yourself a sort of percentage. 100 words, 9 miscue total points, 92 out of 100, 92 percentage. And here's again, you can just kind of put tally marks for the number of types. Just gives you a sense of how this is done, although I doubt I've given you a very good explanation, but this hopefully will give you an overview. Running record and miscue analysis, they don't do anything for comprehension. They are just giving you a sense of the levels and types of miscues, and they give you a sense of the reading level. Running record is best for quickly finding the approximate reading level. Miscue, you're looking at the types of errors. They do not assess comprehension. And again, here are the 3 levels of reading. All right, that is just a quick overview on miscue analysis. Hopefully you rely on some other Google types of things and some other information, and you can use this to put that information in a meaningful context.
All right, so that was a good example of how to score a miscue and what kind of miscues you are looking for. The link for the YouTube video will be in the slides, as you can see, so if you'd like to go back and watch it, I know that sometimes with Screen-O-Matic, it's hard to hear the video. All right, so now we are moving on to kid watching. Yetta Goodman coined the term kid watching to refer to the ongoing observation by educators of children in classrooms. Yetta believed that kid watching needs to be done consciously if teachers are going to gain the greatest insights from it. Kid watching entails directed observation of students with an eye to better understand what children know, value, and are able to do. The goals of kid watching are to support and gain insight into children's learning by intensely observing and documenting what they know and can do, documenting their ways of constructing and expressing knowledge, and 3, planning curriculum and instruction that are tailored to individual strengths and needs. Yetta's work from 1970s to 1980s served to popularize the concept of kid watching by giving it definition and helping teachers and researchers learn to use it to structure and enhance their work. I just wanted to read from you, I have the kid watching book, and I just wanted to read from you the preface of the book because it gives you a good insight onto what kid watching is all about and what she explains in the book. So, the preface. I am the teacher who is committed to discovering what each of my student knows, cares about, and can do. I am the teacher who wants to understand each of my students' ways of constructing and expressing knowledge. I am the teacher who helps my students connect what they are learning to what they already know. I am the teacher who respects the language and culture my students learn at home and who supports the expansion of this knowledge at school. I am the teacher who knows that there are multiple paths to literacy and who teaches along each child's path. I am the teacher who is committed to social justice and to understanding literacy as a socio-cultural practice. I am the teacher who believes that each child can teach me about teaching, language, and learning. And I am the teacher who believes in the interconnectedness of language, learning, and life. I am the teacher who supports children in writing. I can, on their wings. I am a kid watcher. So I have this book and I actually use it. I teach grade 1 too, and I use it almost daily. I think it's wonderful. It has a lot of observation sheets on some things that we might think are basic but crucial in the classroom. Especially for a kindergarten class, there's a couple on even what do the kids know about a text before we even teach it to them. For example, do they know how to read a book? Do they know how to hold a book? Do they know what the text is? Do they know what the picture is? Do they hold the book upside down? Do they know what the title is? All of this stuff gives us insight on what the child already knows about literacy and is something that we can build on. All right, so Yetta Goodman, as I said before, coined the term kid watching, which is ongoing observation by educators of children in the classroom. She wrote this book, as I stated before, which is a guide for preschool, kindergarten, and primary teachers and paraprofessionals